And this is 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, Massachusetts. And we're on the phone now with makeup artist Starr Jones. That's Starr, not to be confused with anybody else. And he's here on the phone with us now to talk a little bit about his career as a Hollywood makeup artist in the science fiction and fantasy and horror genre, and his most recent project, which he will explain to us now what it is.
Great. Yeah. Well, we just finished a project about a year ago called Dark Awakening, which we have finished, and we're in the process of producing it and getting it out because we moved into producing now. But our latest project is called Asylum Nights, which is another horror genre film that we've created, and we're actually raising funds for now. So, but Dean and I, my brother, have been a makeup artist in the industry for over 30-some years, and recently, in the last 3 or 4 years, we've gotten into producing and putting together our own film projects. We've spent a lot of time working with a lot of people in the industry and low-budget and high-budget films, and we've seen a lot of people make a lot of mistakes and spending a lot of money that didn't show up on the screen. So we said, hey, we can do just as good as some other folks. So we moved into making our own films.
When can we expect the movie to be out?
Well, the Dark Awakening should be out sometime in March. I haven't got an exact release date. It's going to be a limited release across the country, and then there's some other cable networks are going to be releasing it, which I can't really divulge those yet because the ink's not dry on the paper yet. But it'll be on the webpage as well, the other outlets for it. So we're just busy trying to produce our own films and keep the momentum going. We had a lot of talented people that are working with us. Michelle Weiser is also in business with us. She produced The Ring 1 and 2. We worked with her years ago and met her when we were working at Roger Corman's, and she's one of our partners in our business. So we're just trying to keep the momentum going.
You were not the makeup artist on that movie, I see.
What's that?
You were not the
makeup artist. As a producer, you get too busy to do the makeup. Because as a producer, you're basically looking after every department, and so it's really hard to concentrate and spend all your time in just one area. But believe me, we did, keep a close hand on what was going on in that department.
One of the things I noticed on your IMDb that I thought was really cool is that you've worked on some classic movies like Star Trek Generations and The Abyss, and Slumber Party Massacre 3.
Right. Yeah. We've done a lot of films, low budget and high budget films. We worked with Roger Corman many years ago for about 3 years. We did every project that he did for about 3 years, and we were actually. Last year there, we were moving into doing other outside projects, Internal Affairs with Richard Gere, and we did The Rookie with Clint Eastwood, and Charlie Sheen did some stuff for that film, and we started branching out. Then we started working on the TV shows for Star Trek Generations and Deep Space Nine, and worked on a couple of Star Trek feature films, and just got really busy. So we do comedies. I had a stint where I did a bunch of Hallmark and Lifetime films, and kind of worked with a lot of classic great actors that you don't see a lot anymore, but are still great to work with. Shirley Jones and Dame Earl Jones, and just lots of folks. So it's always fun to work on projects and meet people that you grew up seeing and admiring.
What's been your favorite movie to work on out of everything you've done?
It's hard to say because all of them are for different reasons. I mean, I really enjoyed The Abyss because that was probably one of my first big major films I'd worked on, and I was on that about 7 months, and we shot most of that in Gaffney, South Carolina, and it was at its time was a huge undertaking, and it was a very expensive film to produce, and it was at one point there were over 250, 300 crew people on that show, between all the the normal people for the lighting and camera and that kind of stuff, and all the stunt people and all the underwater people. So it was just a huge production. So that's always been one of my favorites, just because of the fact that it's one of the early ones. And one of the most recent ones I really enjoyed, I worked on Lincoln up in Richmond, Virginia, with Spielberg. That was a lot of fun. That was neat. Got to see a lot of the great actors that I really enjoyed. I saw Hal Holbrook and Sally Field, and so it was, it's always fun because every project brings something different. You get to meet different people, and it's just way to to have a career. It's really blessed to do things that I enjoy and get to meet people and travel.
The movie Dark Awakening is about spirits of dead children, which something has been done about that, many, multiple times. Probably the most famous is the Guillermo del Toro movie, La Orphanage.
Right.
What are you guys trying to do to set your movie apart from such a, and in my opinion, an oversaturated genre of horror?
Well, I really can't say it's oversaturated because there's always ghosts, and there's going to continue to be movies that have ghosts in them and that kind of thing. But the interesting thing about our show is that it's not really a horror film. It's not. I wouldn't really call it a gory film, but it's got a lot of thrill to it, and it's got a little bit of mystery to it because you don't really know what's going on when it first starts. There's a mother who dies, and her attorney, who is a son who's not been back home in many years, travels back home to try to settle her estate, and then once he returns, he starts having issues, and I won't go into much more of that, but and we sort of follow the journey of the wife trying to figure out, that what she's seen her life is not what it really is. So we combined a couple of genres to create, I think, what's a unique film, and we've had some great responses from it. We took it to Cannes Film Festival and the Sieges Film Market, and had a great response from what we've done. So, and again, it was on a low budget status, but you really couldn't tell it from looking at the film. And Michelle had not seen a cut of it yet, and until we had finished it, and she saw it, she was just really floored away. It's not what she expected at all. She thought more of a horror film, and when she saw it, she said, "This is really something unique," so, which was great coming from her. She produced The Ring.
Another movie you worked on that I thought was a generally okay film was Ouija, based on the best-selling board game by Hasbro.
Right.
I still think that's hilarious that's actually based, you know what I mean? It's not like some other Ouija board. It's an actual Hasbro movie, like their Transformer films.
Right, exactly. Well, I guess it's something that's never been done, because that has been around. That game has been around a long time, and of course Hasbro's, over the last several years, have gotten it into film, so it may have just made sense for them to do one using that game. Because I actually have a early version of that game from the 1916 or 1918. That game has been around that long. So yeah, I think it was about time, to do a show based on that board game. And a lot of people, I have friends of mine that don't even want that game in their house. They're kind of squeamish.
Oh my God! Okay, you know what I say to people like that? It's a frickin' piece of cardboard with a sticker on it and a piece of plastic. Give it a rest.
Well, you gotta say, sometimes there's something to things. That's where the horror comes from, because the mind, it plays more tricks on you than anything.
Did you ever see the movie in the 80s called The Witchboard? It was a movie that they couldn't get the copyright for Ouija because it had been owned by, Hasbro, so they had to come up with their own title.
No, I never saw that one.
It's out on by Scream Factory now on Blu-ray. It's definitely worth picking up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I did not know that someone attempted to try to do one around that game. That's interesting.
One of the other things that I thought was a bit, I guess, ridiculous is you worked on Haunted House 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure did.
Do you love every movie you do, or do you really go, well, it's a paycheck and I'll do it?
Well, the thing is, I always try to, it's always, from our point of view as a makeup artist, everything we do is a challenge, because I don't get to repeat myself very often. Because a lot of times every script is something different and it's something we've not done before. I like all genres of films. I like horror films, I like westerns, and I like comedies. So, I can always find something enjoyable in anything I do. Whether it's, a producer that I like, or a director that I like, or an actor that I work with. You try to walk away with any film project with something you can remember shows I've been on are difficult to work with, and probably will never will work with a production company again. But there's always something good that comes out of it, because really it is a business that one job leads to the other. I've gotten calls for work from people that I worked with 15 years ago that remember me on a show and say, "Oh yeah, I know a guy that we could call." So, it's all about the attitude you take and how you handle yourself and professionalism that you conduct when you're on the show. I just I love movies, and so I guess that's part of the reasons that I enjoy about any film that I do.
Transylvania Twist, another unusual film from the 80s. You definitely worked on a wide range of interesting subject matter over the years. Has there ever been a project that you turned down that you wish you had stuck around for? I noticed you worked on the Hunger Games. I mean, that's freaking huge. I don't know how much. I've seen the Hunger Games, and there's not. There's some special effects. There's some makeup in there, but compared to like Star Trek, where there are Klingons and monsters and other movies where people are being ripped apart, I don't look at the Hunger Games in the same way in terms of like, pretty people makeup versus ripped faces off or monster bumpy headed foreheads or anything like that.
Well, one thing about Dean and I as makeup artists, I don't know how much you know about the makeup artistry field and tradition of it, because we've been doing it a long time, plus we do everything. In the last 10 or 15 years, a lot of times people are compartmentalizing. They're only doing straight makeup, or they do effects makeup. They don't do one or the other. Dean and I do everything, and that's harkening back to the tradition of makeup artists who started. Because, working with Michael Westmore, his family comes from a makeup dynasty, and they did everything and everybody on every show for a long time. There were 5 brothers, and they pretty much, you go back from like the 20s all the way up to the 60s, and you'll see a Westmore name somewhere. And so, that's why, I'll take a makeup show that's just straight makeup as quick as I'll take an effects show. And most of the time when I do something, if it has effects in it, I usually do the entire production. I handle all phases of it. The productions like to hand the project over, a department over, and say, "Okay, you guys run this," because you know what you're doing. You can handle beard work, you can handle doing a makeup, or beauty makeup on a woman, to doing a cut, to tearing someone's heart out, and you can handle it all. And it's a one-stop shop kind of thing. So, and I enjoy it all, just because, like I said, it's always fun, to take on this challenge and to put your work on screen that other people can look at and say, "Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I may have not like the movie, but I like the effects, or I like the makeup that was done."
Which was easier, working on Star Trek: The Next Generation or Star Trek Generations?
They're about the same, because basically all those shows for a while, some of them were running at the same time. Deep Space Nine Generation were at the same time, and some of the movies were being done while the TV shows were going on. And there was, Dean and I weren't the only makeup artists on the shows. Those were big shows. Some calls we had on those shows, there were 30, 40 makeup artists, in a day. Particularly on a show that might have a bunch of Klingons or a bunch of Ferengis. They would bring a bunch of people in to do all those makeups. And some of the movies, had more characters in them than others. So it was fun, because like I said, I grew up with Star Trek, as a kid, and I knew Star Trek as Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner and George Takei and all those guys. And it was I really had enjoyed it when I got to work on the one the Shatner and Picard were both in. So that was a lot of fun to sort of marry the two together. But it was a real thrill to spend some time in that field and work on those types of films, because that was one of my favorite shows growing up, and it was just a big thrill to be part of that.
Well, we look forward to your next project coming up. Again, I've seen a lot of your work, and it's it's always nice to meet some of the other people that work on these films. The Kingdom, again, another movie I absolutely loved. I loved that movie because I'm a huge fan of Jennifer Gardner.
Right. Oh yeah, exactly.
And she is one of the most beautiful women on the planet.
Oh yes, and we're like I said, we've got our next project is, Silent Nights we're going to be putting together, and there's another film that we're going to be working on that takes place in, actually shooting in Japan, set in the 17th century. Really not at liberty to divulge who it is, but it's a very well-known director and a well-known actor that we're doing some old age makeup and some body parts and all kinds of neat stuff for it, and it's we're about to jump into that here in the next week or so, and it's about a 4-month shoot. So, but again, it's something that's always different. I've traveled to other countries and worked. That's always a challenge, working in other countries. Especially when you're trying to get supplies and they have no idea what you're asking for, or they don't have it, or your stuff gets stuck in customs. And I had one show I worked on one time, and they held my stuff for 3 weeks, so they had to change the entire shooting schedule of the film because they couldn't get my stuff to actually shoot what I was there to do. I spent a lot more time in that country than I intended, but that happens sometimes, I guess.
Cool. Well, hey, again, thank you very much, Starr, for coming on the show with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Anytime. I appreciate it very much. It was fun.
Thank you. I'll keep apprised of your work and look forward to maybe having you on the show again one day.
Great. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Have a good night. Bye.
All right. Bye.